The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shay's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shay's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shay's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everybody. TGIF as always. I hope everybody is enjoying the nice weather. I don't know about where you guys are, but it's very hot in my neck of the woods. I don't want to take up too much time here because I'm very excited to have these two awesome people on tonight. First, I would like to introduce the newest Paranormal Buzz family member. Ashley Storm is going to be my new fill-in co-host. So I am so excited. Thank you for being here. How you doing?
I am wonderful, and I'm so excited that you have me now. I think everybody knows how I feel about you, the enthusiasm that we have about each other.
Yes. Sometimes I can be serious, sometimes I can be crazy, but you gotta, take me as I am.
You gotta work today. You're like you're like the sour candies, fresh high and you're sweet.
Exactly, that is me. So I don't want to take up too much time. I love you, but I get to talk to you all the time. But we have an awesome guest tonight, David Ditchfield. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. Good to meet you too.
Yes, I'm very excited. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah, you got it bang on. Yeah.
Sometimes with my Mass accent, I can mess up anything. So.
No, that sang beautifully, really well.
Oh, good. You're from the UK, correct?
That's right, yeah. I'm based in Cambridge.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I want to get over there someday. I really, really do. I always have.
Yeah, you should come once we can all fly back into the skies again.
Right.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I've always wanted to go over there because, as funny as it is, we're part of the American Ghost Hunter show, but our main host now, because Daryl left for the Ghost Hunter TV show, but our main host is Alex King and Helena King, who are British. So every time somebody's on our feed, they're like, why is a British person hosting the American Ghost Hunter show?
Because
Brilliant.
They're awesome.
Yeah, it's just funny, but I've always wanted to get over there. You guys have some good haunts over there, too.
Yes, we do. So,
Yeah,
you're the author.
There's lots of history.
There is. There really is. It's
Yeah.
deep in history.
Yeah.
I really do want to get there someday. So, most of our normal people are over investigating tonight, and I hope they're having a blast, and I will miss them, but they're going to tune in later. So, you're the author of Shine On, correct?
That's right, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, my new book.
So, do you want to just dive right in? Do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
You want to start from the beginning?
Yeah, I will do. I'll talk you through basically what the book is about. The book is basically my story, which it's all about a near-death experience I had following a very serious train accident. So I'll talk you through from the day of walking onto the station platform, if you like. So I was at the time I was staying at my sister's with her family. I'd hit sort of rock bottom in my life. I'd been living in London. I was pretty much kind of like, down on my luck, as they say. And so she said, come and hang out with us. So I was there for a few weeks. And I met up with somebody a couple of weeks prior to that in London who I connected with really well. And she came up to visit me for a few days. So I was seeing her off at the rail station because she had to go back to London. So I remember I vividly, in fact, I helped her onto the train with her bags and gave her a hug and a kiss to say goodbye. Then we heard the emergency door buzzers go, so I stepped back to get off. And as I did, the bottom corner of my coat got trapped in the automatic closing doors. Now I tried to tug as hard as I could to pull it free, but it just wouldn't come out at all. So I turned around and looked for a guard, and there wasn't one at all on the platform. So I just yelled out for help, and nobody turned up. So I started banging on the doors of the carriage and the windows and stuff, hoping that somebody might run through, working for the train company, but nobody turned up. So the engine started revving up, and I just looked into the eyes of my friend Anna, and I could just see this look of sheer horror in her eyes. And I just thought, wow, this is it. I'm going to die, because I knew I wasn't going to get that coat free. So the train started pulling out, and at quite a speed, it has to be said. The acceleration of a train pulling out of a station, when you're on the outside of it, is something else. You don't realise when you're sat inside, you don't think about it, you just pull off and off you go. But they really do accelerate. And so I lost my footing pretty soon, and I got dragged along the platform. And then as the speed really pulled up, I got pulled and sucked between the edge of the platform and the train itself, and under I went. And it was just like that was the point when I really did think, that's it, I'm going now, I'm going to die. And I went it was just like being thrown into a tumble dryer, washing machine on full spin. I was just thrown around, tossed around from pillar to post. And it was a very violent sort of experience. And I was fully conscious throughout the whole of this. And eventually I was found myself sort of tossed down onto the ground in between the tracks. And the train was still going at full speed. It was a very long train, and I could hear it clattering above my head. And so I just kept my face right down into the gravel. I remember thinking of all the Bond movies I'd seen, the Indiana Jones films, where that's what they do, right? I think it through, and I did. So I kept my head down, and in case I got hit by part of the undercarriage, but clearly I didn't, and off it went, and then it disappeared off down the track. So there I was, lying there in complete, disbelief that I'd survived. Yeah.
Wow.
So. Yeah.
How injured were you afterwards?
Well, the first thing that I noticed was that this very expensive quality coat that had trapped in the doors was now ripped to shreds. The left arm was just completely shredded, and I could see also my arm was shredded right open as well. And I'd literally been severed from the elbow down. So that was the first and most serious injury that I noticed. And but it was quite interesting because I didn't go into a state of shock or panic. Well, I probably was in shock, but I didn't start to really freak out or anything. I was very calm at the time. I think a lot of it's to do with the fact that I was just so glad to be alive, And Yeah, I'm lying there, but I was in complete agony. And I must have been in shock because the first thing that came into my head was, right, get your cell phone out of your pocket and call your sister and call for help because I didn't think anyone else was going to come. And of course, the cell phone was completely smashed, and so that wasn't working. But within minutes, people did arrive, and the emergency guys were there, and they all jumped down onto the track, and they started cutting through my clothes and getting me onto a stretcher, and and they threw me back. Well, didn't throw me, but they got me into the back of an ambulance, and then we just kind of like. I remember the doctor saying to me, "Look, there's a hospital just around the corner. That's why we got here so quick. But there's a much better one that's going to save you. Can you hang on?" I said, "Yeah, let's go." So we did, and I remember the siren going on, and we took off like a rocket, and we just sped down the highway, and arrived in the hospital. And they wheeled me in, and I just remember seeing like this semicircle of doctors and nurses and medics and paramedics all waiting for me. And then everyone was just like racing around, frantically trying to save me. All sorts of voices going, all this science going out of over my head, thinking, "What is going on?" And then bizarrely, I don't know how quickly managed to do this, but my family were there pretty soon after, and they were in there. And they were able to come through and see me. So I remember lying there in agony, and at that point I was losing copious amounts of blood, and I remember seeing my mother. She came over to me and she was in tears, and I just said, "Mom, it's always me causing all the dramas in this family. I'm so sorry." It was just crazy, and she was going, "What? No, don't stop it," and she was just so pleased that I was alive. So I was really keen to find out that my friend Anna was okay, because we'd just been through this horrific ordeal. And she must have been completely mortified seeing all this unfold, and she was there. So I said, "Look, can I speak to Anna?" So she stepped forward, and then she came over, and she was just shaking her head in disbelief and just looking at me going, "What? But I can't believe you're alive, So, so at that point, I was lying on this hospital trolley, and I went from all this incredible pain and all this kind of sort of hyperactivity going on around me with all the doctors and stuff to what seemed like to me like a darkened room. It was like a darkened space, but it was a really beautiful darkened space. It felt very calming and relaxing, and all the pain had gone, and all the anxiety that I was feeling at that point had gone as well. And I just looked around me, and I suddenly started seeing all these kind of pulsating colours of oranges and reds and yellows and ambers, just slowly pulsating all around me. And I felt very kind of charmed and relaxed by these colours. And then I looked down and to see what I was lying on, because I realised I was no longer on the trolley in the hospital, but I was lying on like this huge piece of slate rock. It was the only way I could describe it is almost like it was like a huge medieval altar, if you like. It was very big, but it felt very comfortable to lie on.
It's like the ceremonial altars that they would use like in funerals and processions and stuff, and place the bodies up there, correct? Like the big made of nothing but stone.
Exactly. It's very much like that, yeah. And
So
that's
weird.
so that's how it looked. And I realised that I was no longer wearing any clothes, but it was still quite fine for me to lie on this. And then I looked down to check my body, and everything was intact. My arm was okay. There was that was no longer ripped open or severed, and all the other wounds were all completely healed. There was no bruising or anything. And then I was covered in this kind of blue sheet, almost like a satin blue sheet, which was very calming and cooling, which was over my body. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I just kind of laid my head back on this stone. And then all of a sudden, I looked up, and there were like these 3 grids of white lights that were coming in, closing in towards me very slowly. And I looked into those grids, and the light was just so pure and it felt really beautiful to look into. It was calming me, it was like a healing light. And it was so bright that normally I wouldn't be able to look into that kind of light, fluorescent light or sunlight. It'd be too bright to look at. But this I could, and I couldn't take my gaze out of it because it was calming me so much. So at that point I figured, well, this is it. I've passed over. I'm dead. But I was quite comfortable with that prospect and happy with it. There was no sense of fear or panic. I felt the presence then of somebody else with me, somebody nearby, and I looked up, and just stood at my feet was this beautiful androgynous being, stood there with this, just wearing like a contemporary black T-shirt, if you like, and with this kind of like white, blonde, pure hair, and sort of skin that was kind of like almost lit from the inside, and the expression on this androgynous being's face was just like really calming. It was like almost like a knowing smile, just looking at me, and I felt like I'd known this being throughout the whole of my life and beyond. It was like a soulmate. Just like, and I felt like this. I felt comfort and that this, like I was being taken care of by this being, and I just thought, who are you? Where do I know you from? And why are you just stood there guarding me like this with this lovely smile, And so I laid back my head once more, and as I closed my eyes again, I suddenly had the sensation that there was somebody else there. So I looked around me, and then there was two other people had arrived, and they were in female form, and they were stood either side of me, and one was sort of girl was kind of like sort of Asian or American Indian in appearance, and beautiful black hair and lovely dark skin, and her hands were just hovering over my body. And then the other girl was more white European, sort of with brown hair and sort of green blue eyes, and they were just slowly healing me, almost like a sort of form of Reiki healing, if you like, and their hands were just slowly going over my body, and I felt this sensation of almost as love was coming from them through their hands, and it was a beautiful feeling. It was just like going through every single sort of molecule of my body, if you like, and so so that was pretty beautiful. So I lay back my head, and I just thought, what are they doing? What's happening now? Are they preparing me for something? Is this something going to happen? That's how it felt. It felt like some form of sort of I don't know, like not just like they were healing my actual physical body, like they were healing my soul, and they were healing all the stress and anxiety that I'd suffered throughout the whole of my life, because I'd suffered a lot of that, and so all of that had gone. It was all slowly disappearing from my soul. So it felt like a cleansing feeling. I suddenly lay there and I thought to myself, well, how about my family? They're going to be down in the hospital now, and they're already completely distraught from what had just happened. Now they're going to be really, really mortified because they've just lost their son or their brother or what have you, And so I figured, right, I'm going to look over the edge of this huge rock that I'm lying on and see if I can see them. And I looked over my left-hand shoulder, and as I looked down, I didn't see them at all. But what I did see was this most beautiful sight. It was like a huge waterfall of stars, and these stars were like cascading down over the edge. It was almost like a big arc, almost like Niagara Falls, but this was just literally stars just slowly cascading over the edge, and shooting stars just falling through the middle of that. And I looked down, I thought, wow, this is remarkable. And I kept looking, and the deeper I looked, it seemed to just disappear into infinity. It was going from one, what appeared to be one galaxy to another, and the further I looked, the more colours I could see. as I looked down further. And I just thought, this is remarkable. It was like a vast space. And I suddenly realized that I wasn't in a darkened room whatsoever, that I was actually in the universe itself. And so I just turned my head over and I thought to myself, again, before would have been completely distraught, thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done? I'm like, my family are going to be so upset. But I didn't feel any of those feelings. I just felt, okay, that's okay. I'll be seeing them soon. They'll be joining me up here. They'll be.
You were worried about them, but you were at peace with it.
I was at peace with it. Yeah. Whereas me before all this wouldn't have been at peace with it. As I said to you, when I was in the hospital, I was, feeling guilt because it was always me that was causing all the dramas in the family.
I'm sorry I ruined your day by getting hit by a train. That kind of thing.
That kind of thing, or more like it's always me sort of bringing these situations to the family. That's that kind of thing, and so but all of that had dispersed from me. So there was no sense of me feeling any, oh my goodness, it's all my fault. I didn't feel any sense of it was my fault at all when I was lying up there, and I didn't feel any sense of worry for them, because when you're in a state of you lose all sense of all those things that don't belong to you. Mm-hmm. You're in a very rational state of mind, and I was in a completely rational state of mind. So I was rationalizing it all. I was thinking, okay, they're going to see me. They're going to be joining me soon. And if they don't join me, they're going to be going through this beautiful experience that I am having now, and that, there's a lot more to come for them all. So that's how I felt.
Do you think that it was you rationalizing it, though, or do you believe that light that you said, that calming light, the one that you felt just drawn into almost, you couldn't avert your gaze, it was enveloping you pretty much? Do you feel like that's what placated you into just accepting it, or did you actually go through the thought process of rationalizing, okay, I'm all right with this after everything you had experienced? Or did the physical experience kind of just change your demeanor and make you, all right, this is going on, and not fight it?
Well, that's a good question, actually, because it's immediately I realized that I was in a different realm, and in that realm, it's literally is all the layers of stuff that you carry around throughout your whole life are gone. They don't belong to you anymore, and basically it's just the element of your pure soul that's inside you. So that's what I was basically getting in touch with for the first time in my life, was me, was the actual core of me, and that my inner soul, because all of that was left behind immediately as soon as I entered into this realm. So that's what will happen to us all. That's what I firmly believe, anyway, because it's yes, I was thinking it through rationally, but I was able to, because it's almost like, if you think about it, if we all go through certain things that happen in our lives where we get really distressed and over emotional about something, and we have somebody calm us down, and once that person calms us down, then we can see sense. And it's a bit like that, but it was by tenfold. I could suddenly see clear for the first time in my life, because I'd carried around so much baggage throughout all the years before that I couldn't see clear, and now I could.
It sounds beautiful, actually. It's like all I can picture while you're talking. I love metaphors, so all I can picture is like a baby when it's born, and it's so pure and innocent, and nothing's happened. And as time goes on, it builds layers and layers, or picks up baggage, as you said. And it's almost like that was all stripped away. Like you said, you're just back to your pure self. And
exactly. That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Did they clinically say that you were dead for any period of time, or did you just... Do you think it was the trauma and the stress triggering that, I guess, experience, because you did it. It is near death. I mean, anybody else in that situation, say it was somebody who hadn't watched a James Bond movie, they would have been completely screwed. They wouldn't have known to keep their head down. I mean, it was just random luck that even in that situation, you were able to even recall hey, use the tactics that I've seen. It was a fight or flight moment. And
it was,
after your body kind of settled into it and the adrenaline settled down and they got you, to the point where you were stable and everything, do you think that leveling out is why you ended up having that experience? You went from an extreme high to such an extreme low that it kind of jolted in you?
Yeah. I mean, that's very good. Again, that's great. Because no one's really actually brought that to the table, as they say. That's brilliant. But I mean, in terms of I didn't die clinically. No, they didn't say that. They said I was very close to death because I was losing so much blood, and I figured that's got a lot to do with it, was the amount of blood loss. But I also think what you just said there is brilliant, because I think that's true. Going from a massive, it was a huge adrenaline rush. There's no denying that. When going through something like that. But interestingly enough, when the actual point of the accident, I thought things through. It was incredible. I mean, apparently this is a scientific thing. I don't know why, but apparently when people are in a situation like myself, where you're looking death in the eyes, as it were, the brain actually sort of slows down and you have time to think things through. I mean, the rail police, who did a massive inquiry on the whole thing, said to me, I said, how long did it take the moment I left from and then going under? And they said, well, it was like, I think it was 13 and a half seconds, they said. And I said, wow, I thought it was minutes, because in my mind I thought it through. And interestingly enough, what you were just saying, Shay, about going back to being a child, I actually thought that through. I'd seen a news item a couple of weeks previous where they said a small child had been thrown from a burning apartment block, 3 floors, and when it landed, they caught it, but there was no injuries whatsoever to that child. And they said the reason being that children don't tense up; they're completely relaxed. Young infants and stuff, which is so true.
It is. It's very true.
Yeah. So the only reason that we start to tense up throughout our whole lives is because it's all the emotional stuff that's made us tense up. It's nothing else. It's not like a natural process that we tense up. So going back to what you were saying, I think it was a lot to do with the blood loss, but I think it probably was the fact, because I think by that time I'd gone through a massive sort of emotional roller coaster, and then to be lying on that trolley and I guess by that point, I don't know, but a lot of people who have NDEs as well, they don't necessarily. Some people do die clinically on the table, but not everyone, not all of them. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that that you clinically died.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have to try and get used to the fact I'm okay, this is not my show. Let me.
No. Wait, this is how the show works, though. It's a conversation. Go for it.
But Shay and I have talked about this before, because like she said before we came on, she's had a near-death experience, but she was so young she didn't remember it. You were, how old were you? Because you never said how old you were.
Yeah, no, I was 46 when it happened. Yeah.
So you were way further on in life. Now, I had mine when I was 8. And there are other people that I've spoken to, especially after getting, into the paranormal field, learning what I can do I always thought that I was just absolutely batshit crazy. But after I had mine, and it's so weird, and why I asked what did it look like in particular, that stone that you said that you were laying upon. I had a subdural hematoma, and it was so big. I lived in Guam, where we had no actual hospitals to do surgeries and stuff like that. And they couldn't medevac me out to Hawaii because I was in such bad condition. So they put me in a sleep-induced coma for 2 weeks. And I remember right before I went down, like kind of how you said the room just got super dark, but not in a bad way. It was just kind of like a calm, which I was so nervous up to that point. I thought I was going to die. I was 8 years old. I had no clue what was going on. Everybody else around me was freaked out, and I could tell. And then when I woke up, the only thing I could remember, and still to this day I have dreams about, was just laying on a stone slab, like a medieval type of altar slab, ceremonial slab, like how they would in Viking burials and stuff before they put them on the boats to send them off. Those big altars, there's nothing but a slab. And I still to this day have dreams, and that's 2 out of like the 3 types of dreams that I have are always having to do with being on that slab. But I don't remember a light. I don't remember anything other than just having an ability afterwards to see and talk to spirits more than I could before, because I already had the gift when I was little, but I think every child does. Because like you said before, they don't have that filter. They see things for what they are, and especially energy-wise, I think they pick up on it. A lot of times when kids say they have imaginary friends, I don't think it's an imaginary friend. I think they're actually playing with the spirit or a loved one that's still around, maybe looking over them. But that made my gift stronger. And they say it's because we cross over into the veil. That feeling of peace that you had, that all of your baggage was gone from you, had accepted it, was because that light that you felt was the veil coming over you, which is us technically crossing into the other side, or the other side kind of becoming a part of us or touching us in some way. And you brought up, when I was reading your bio, that it makes other people have art skills, or they can speak different languages after they have it. And so it makes me wonder why it has these different effects on people. Like, what was your effect afterwards? Did it have anything weird
to
do with you afterwards?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, there was, I got no religious faith beforehand, and then, but that was about to change for me, because as at the point I was lying on that rock, thinking about my family in the hospital, that I suddenly felt that there was something more powerful suddenly around me. I could feel this energy of love that I've been feeling was suddenly been turned up like a big dial, and I thought, what's going on there? And I looked, and I could see a huge tunnel of white light, which was closing in on me again. But it was beautiful closing in, and it was surrounded by all these flames that were just slowly rotating around the light. And I just thought, wow, what is this? And I knew instantly what it was. And it was God. This was the source of all creation. This is it. This is where it comes from. It's not, the image of God that we've been brought up to believe or see, whatever our faiths are. This is it. This is it. This is the source of all creation. So, for me, experiencing that and feeling the energy that came from that has given me a faith now, which is one thing. But the biggest thing is that it's given me this creative ability. I've got these now. My life is just basically all about either painting. I was instantly able to start doing large canvases, large paintings of what I'd seen in the afterlife. That was the first thing I wanted to do, and I got this confidence to follow that through. And then the second thing was to start writing music for orchestras. Classical music, again based on my experience.
Did you do either of these things before this happened?
No.
This is brand new.
I mean, I always enjoyed drawing and stuff when I was at school, but I left school without any qualifications, and so that was it. It wasn't. I'd like to have gone to art school and done a foundation course, as we call it here, but I couldn't have done, because you need
the music part. Did you have anything to do with music beforehand? Because even just learning music first and foremost is hard. Composing something is even harder. Did you have any type of... Yeah, did you have any background?
Basically, the only background I had, right, was I taught myself to play guitar, but this is like playing punk rock sort of pop stuff, 3 chords wonders. And so I was thrashing out songs like that and in various bands.
Orchestra pieces are much more intricate.
It's a different thing. I mean, once I started putting stuff together, I remember the first piece that I wrote, I took it to the conductor of the orchestra, and I said, "I'm sure you've written many pieces yourself," and he said, "No." He said, "I wouldn't even begin to start composing a symphony because it's really tough. Yeah, it's a big thing to put together. Even if you're classically trained, to bringing all those textures together, and all that happened, all that came. I channeled all these ideas through, and they were coming through from spirit, and they were helping me to put this together. For people listening, thinking, well, hang on a sec, how can he have done this? Because you need to be able to score it out for an orchestra. And so, what happened there was my brother stepped in and said, "Oh, bless you." My brother stepped in and said, "Look, I've got this some software here that you can use. You can put it on your computer." Because I was like, when I first started writing my first piece, I was literally using an old little synthesizer that I got, and I was recording the ideas onto a cassette player because that's all I got. I was broke. I got an old cassette recorder, and I was putting it together like that. And I was sending these tapes down to my brother saying, "Listen to this," and he said, "Look, I've got this software. You can plug it into your computer, and it will convert what you're playing on the keyboard into notation." I was going, brilliant. And so that's how I started putting it together. And do you know what? I still to this day cannot read or write a single note of notation, but I'm still writing stuff for orchestras.
Wow,
so
that's
amazing. They're helping me up there. Yeah.
I was about to, because that's. Do you know how hard people study music to be composers for at least 3 years, and that's not even including what they do in college. At least 3 years in high school of actual notes. And that's for anybody who doesn't have a musical background, for him to be a composer and not actually know what the notes are, that's oh my God,
it's a miracle.
That's mind blowing.
It's a miracle.
Because we had a kid in our school who could play every instrument known to man, but couldn't read a lick of music. Couldn't read it, but if he heard somebody playing it, he'd pick up an instrument and go right along with them, but he couldn't read music to save his life, and he was the band captain, but he couldn't read music.
There you go. Yeah. No, I would turn up to rehearsals with the orchestra, and I used to think, oh God, I didn't want them to know I couldn't read because I thought, this is an arena where you've got highly educated people, and they take their work and their craft very seriously, and and I was just worried that they were going to realise that I couldn't actually pull this off, and so they turned around to me and they say, I remember they'd say in the first rehearsal, they're going, "David, on bar 54, you've got a C sharp major here. Surely, shouldn't that be an E flat?" And I'm going, "What?" I was like a robot. All these sparks were going in my head.
Play it for me. What does it sound like?
That's exactly it. That's what I said. I said, "Can you just play it through?" And then she'd play it through, I remember, and it was a cellist, and she played it. And I said, "Oh, no, it's da-na-na-na, or whatever, and then she'd go, "Oh." She'd say, "So it's a C sharp major then?" And I'd go, "Yes." But, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it all came together. And,
now, you said it came through you through spirit. You mean spirit guides, spirit?
Yeah. I've realised myself now that I have spirit guides, and they've been with me ever since. And I've also realised that I'm getting help from creative sources that are just. I knew that from day one once I started doing the very first painting. I remember getting this. I'd come through from the anaesthetic from the first operation, and I was really scared that I was going to forget everything that had happened to me, because I didn't even know that people had near-death experiences. I didn't know anything about them at that point, and I just thought I was the only person that this had happened to, And I thought, I've got to record this. I've got to tell the world about this. How am I going to get it out there, So, So anyway, I got that canvas sat there. My aunt came over from Canada, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to buy it for you." So I thought, I looked at it against the wall, stood against the wall. I thought, oh my goodness, like, can I do this? You know. But once I started painting it, do you know what? It just started coming together, and all the ideas that were going onto that piece of canvas, I just thought, this isn't me doing this. And I knew instantly that I was getting help from the other side, because I felt there was still the part of me that was connected to it. I felt like there was a cord that was still getting all this energy flowing through, that was helping me not only come out with all these creative ideas, but it was helping me heal as well. The doctors were amazed at how fast I was healing physically, and I knew that I was getting help from the other side with that as well. So yeah.
You remember how earlier I said you're touched by the veil, or you're brought into it? What you're describing is the being touched by it, that you feel that a piece of it's always kind of residing in you, that somehow, and I believe it was Sandra Wells, we were talking about this, that energy is so magnificent in itself that it leaves an imprint in you once you've encountered it. So it's like a little part of you, always and forever. And that's part of why people do have the ability to be mediums, psychics, things like that. You're still, I guess, a part of the other side. It's kind of residing within you. You have part of the veil with you.
Yeah, most certainly. And it was really apparent to people around me as well. I remember at first, because when I was in hospital, I was in a pretty bad way, and they'd given me a room to myself, which was great. And my family and friends would come and see me, and they'd come in and see I was lying in there on this bed, unable to move, with all tubes coming out of me. But they all commented on this, saying how animated I looked, and my mother turned around to me, because it took me a week to tell my parents about my near-death experience, because I was worried about telling them, because it was such a big thing to me that I really wanted them to get it and to understand it, and but when I did explain to them, they both listened, and then when I stopped, my mum turned around and said, "Yes, we know." And I said, "What do you mean you know?" It was almost like a mother's instinct. And she said, it's just every time we come in here, we walk away and we just say that you're glowing. You've got this, it's almost like you've got this glow coming from you, and you've got this strength that you're giving out to people all around you, and to the nurses and everyone. And so there you go. So that was me still being touched by the other side, that given me that energy that was glowing within me, and it was very apparent, very much so at the beginning. And so yeah, but it stayed with me. It's remained with me. Yeah.
Is that, before we go on, is that one of your paintings in the background?
Oh yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
I've been staring at it. It's beautiful. The listeners cannot see it, but it is beautiful.
Yeah, that's a painting of Christ. That is. Yeah, so I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, if people want to look on the website, if you don't mind me.
Oh no, go ahead. You can. We'll throw them out at the end too. But while we're talking about the paintings,
please go.
I want to write this down.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so it's shineonthestory.com basically. So
okay.
Shineonthestory.com.
All right.
And so yeah, if people want to go there and go onto the website, they can look at the paintings, and there's links to Instagram where there's paintings up there as well. But they can listen to the music as well. The first piece of music that I wrote for orchestra, which is called The Divine Light, which is based on my
I'm definitely checking it out.
Yeah, have a listen to that on there. So you'll find links to the SoundCloud page, but you can click on that and stream it for free.
How long ago was your accident? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, it's 2006.
2000. So in 14 years, you've done over 50 paintings?
That's right, yeah. And now I've just written a book. Now that's something I wanted to do throughout, is write this book. But I'm dyslexic. That's, as I said, leaving school without qualifications. So it's taken me a long time to actually to write it. But I'm there, and it's out as well. It's coming out, I should say. It's coming out next Friday on the 26th of June. So yeah. So if people want to have a look, it's available for you guys as well. It's on Amazon.
Do you delve more in depth? I'm sorry. I was so excited though. Do you delve more in depth into the different types of energies that you saw? Like you described how one of them looked like kind of Native American, one of them was androgynous. Do you go more into depth about what do you think they meant, or how their presences all kind of differed vastly from one another, but they were all there in that moment?
I know that the very first being that I saw, the androgynous being, that was basically, I see that as being almost like my highest state of consciousness, if you like, like my higher self. It's like, I don't know, because I'm still learning all the time, but I just feel that was my soulmate that's been throughout every generation of lifespans that I've been through, and will continue to be there. I'm sure that when my time is up here, and then I do pass on, that I'm sure that same being will be there to greet me. And as for the other two, I'm not really sure. The Asian or American Indian girl, I feel that there's a spiritual element to that, because obviously I've become much more spiritual now, and I've learnt an awful lot more about American Indian culture. Last time I was over in the States, I was in New York, and I went to the museum there, which was fantastic, and I was really lucky because I'd got a friend of mine, his wife. I said I wanted to go to the museum for American Native American Indian and museum. She said, "Yeah, I know the guy who runs it. I can get. I'll give him a call." I said, "Oh, brilliant!" So he got back and said, "Look, I'll give David a guided tour." So I got this personal tour of walking around, and as I walked around, I just felt, wow, this is like, I learned so much all about, just how spiritual, the Native American culture is. It's just, it's remarkable. So
truly at one with nature, the feeding into earth and the oneness of it all, that everything was linked and connected. And that's actually a big part of what I study in the paranormal, is Native American hauntings or land and rites and rituals for that, because the area I live in has a lot of Native American stuff happen because of the land that stuff is either built on, or incidents that happened in certain towns around here involving them. That energy is much more concentrated and way stronger than anything else I've ever encountered.
Yeah, exactly. So that made an awful lot of sense when I was just walking around that place. I just felt, wow. And when he was talking me through the history, going right from one end of America to the other, right up to Alaska, it's just like remarkable. It's a fantastic culture. So maybe I was meant to sort of come back and learn more about that, from that experience. But yeah.
So your mother knew. Did the rest of your family accept this? Did they see the changes in you?
Yeah, they did do. Yeah, all of them. Right from the start. I mean, my sister was the first person out of the family that I told about it, and we're very close. And I knew that she'd get it, and she did straight away. And they have done throughout, they've just kind of like seen everything that's happened and unfolded in my life, from me doing the paintings to the concert. I mean, the concert was incredible because it's sold out 2 weeks in advance,
wow.
Which was amazing. There was just so much energy helping that to happen, and I knew it was, basically when just getting the orchestra to play it was an amazing thing in itself. So I was really excited about that. And they turned around to me and said, "Oh, look, would you mind just saying a few words to the local press, because we normally do, because it's you're a composer." I said, "Yeah, sure." So I spoke to the local press, and they were just blown away by the story, what it was about. I told them it was about my near-death experience, and they knew about the accident because it was all over the local news at the time. So anyway,
Well, yeah, train almost runs over man kind of sticks with people.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but it kind of like from that little news item, the phone started ringing and it didn't stop, and I suddenly got the BBC, which are like the big national corporation over here, phoned up and said, "Look, we want to come and interview you. Can we come to the rehearsal?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So they came and filmed the rehearsal, and then so obviously that was it. It sold out 2 weeks in advance, and the guys who were organising it, the promoters, were going, "Wow, we never had anything like this before." And they said, they were talking about getting cameras, getting a screen out in the square, you know, for people to watch outside and stuff. I was going, no, don't stop, you know, it's getting too big. But my family just kind of went along with it. Do you know what I mean? They didn't kind of think, what's going on? They knew that this was all part of my experience. This is the new me. This was this member of their family who was just so struggling throughout the whole of his life was now suddenly glowing, you know, still. And so they accepted everything that happened, and that all the byproducts from it was just part of my experience. And even with the book, you know, the book came out, and I decided to interview all the people who were around me at the time of the accident, and the orchestra, and my family members in the hospital, to see what they thought about me and about their reflection on me having a near-death experience and stuff. And so it was interesting getting everybody's take and how they thought they'd noticed a massive change in me. So my parents, especially my mum, did. You know, she was like very looking at it from a spiritual point of view. So yeah, they totally went along with it, and it's never been forgotten.
I think that's very interesting to get everybody else's point of view, because a lot of times, you know, you can hear everybody else's experience, but to see how it adversely affects you in the eyes of others, getting their viewpoint on it kind of also gives you clarity as to where you are with it. But yeah, I'm excited to hear how everybody kind of construed what was going on, whether it be spiritual or, hey, maybe he was just like literally scared to death and he's just different now, you know. But it'd be interesting to see how everybody perceived that incident and perceived you afterwards, because the way you perceive yourself is always different than how everybody else sees it.
Well, that's it, because I mean, with this book, I wanted to tell my story as it is, and you know, it starts off by really talking about, you know, you go the first chapters, you know, it's talking about all the dark sort of place I was in, you know, the hard times I was going through in my life, and then what happens afterwards. But also, I wanted to put in those testimonials, if you like, because I thought, well, I want people to know that I'm not just giving you some cotton wool story of what happened. I'm thinking I'm going straight to everybody, from my family members to the nurses and the physios who were worked with me for a couple of years, you know, making me better again. And all of them, I interviewed them, and you know, just to get their testimonials, because I thought, there you go. They're going to give the truth. I said, just give it straight. You know, give me the truth, and that's what comes through. And so, you know, obviously each one varies. You know, some people were probably looking at it from more of a scientific point of view, but ultimately, everybody saw a change in me. And you know, like I remember the occupational therapist who was like my physio. She's great. I mean, she's become a friend now. So she was great. She just, in her testimonial, she just said that she just felt that there was something different about me, you know, and she couldn't put a finger on it, and so she didn't realise that had happened. It took me a while to tell her, because I thought, well, how can you tell the people in the hospital about this?
Because then they're going to send you to the loony bin and be like, I think his brain injury might have been more extraneous than we thought in the first place.
Well, funny enough, I mean, because I was referred to see a counsellor and a psychiatrist, because obviously what had just happened to me, you know, they have to make sure that I'm okay, you know, to check that I did suffer post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh yeah,
so
I'm sure.
Check on things like that. So going through all that, I had to have a lot of therapy. But throughout those therapy sessions, I got to the point with my therapist when I couldn't help but talk about my near-death experience, because it was a huge part of the whole event, and I knew that was going to be hard to tackle, and I talk about this in the book. I talk about our sessions quite a bit in there because I think it's very important to put that across, because she's a scientist. She's coming from a scientific point of view, so it's good to go in and deal with all that, and it deals with the conversations that I have with her. And so that's quite fascinating. So
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing because my mother's in chat and will correct me if I'm wrong on the time, because one time I messed up when I almost died in this story I'll make it really quick. But I was laughing because at 9 months old, I could talk in full sentences. We were not a religious family at all, like not at all. And one morning I woke up and told my mother I died the night before, and I went to heaven and saw the staircase and the bright light, blah blah blah. But God said I wasn't done and I had to come back. And my mother was so freaked out because my mother didn't believe in God, didn't talk about God, so there's no way I should know what God is. Brings me to the doctor. The doctor, says, who are you to say she didn't? It could be true. So that's why I was laughing when you said they did make you go to a counselor. Not because you had to go to a counselor, but because by the time I was 9 months old, I had to see a shrink. So.
Well, that's what, after my parents got divorced, they made us go and see one. And they're like, tell us everything. And I'm like, I'm not about to tell you that I see dead people and hear dead people, because I've seen what happened. I watched that Sixth Sense story. I know what happens. You're not going to trap me like little Haley Joel Osment. No, thank you. And so, like, now being older, being able to talk about it, I feel like it is therapy talking about it with just anybody. Like, I've talked to Shay about it in depth. And a lot of the other people who have, that same ability or even have had the same experiences. Yours is so vastly different from all the other ones that I've heard, because a lot of us had them when we were younger, to the point where, we're not, I don't remember what I had for breakfast the other day. I don't even know if I had breakfast, but I'm not about to remember all those pivotal little details that you would be able to, as a full-grown adult, to have that cognitive, I guess, appropriation for what's happening in front of you, and to take it all in without it being just like a hay fever dream to us when we were little, so it's very, very interesting. I can't wait to read your book. I know. I really want to know more about this.
Fantastic.
I am going to get the book. I have trouble. I had a small blood vessel in my, in the front of my head, burst a few years ago. So now, I was never dyslexic before, but it takes me sometimes. So I used to be a speed reader and could memorize things. Now I read almost like a dyslexic person. I can write fine, but I can't. When I'm trying to read, the lines and words get all messed up. But I'm definitely. It might take me forever to read it, but I'll definitely do this. I do have another question though. Back to the spirit part. Do you just feel spirit when you work on the painting and music, or do you ever hear or see anything now?
No, I'm not. I'm not clairvoyant.
Okay.
But I do get. I get to know the little signs and signals of different things that happen and stuff. But it's almost more like it's all happening subconsciously. I just know. I don't sit there and say.
It's channeling.
Yeah, they're working through me. They're channeling. That's it. I'm channeling. Yeah. So, but I never ask for it. I never say, "Look, will you help me now?" I'm stuck on this. I literally just every day that I start work, I never think, "Right, are you there? Are you going to help me today?" I just open up what I'm doing, whatever I'm working on. I just start working on it, and it's not until afterwards that I look at it that I go, "Oh wow, brilliant," and then I just literally. Every single day, I'll stand back and I'll look up and I go, "Thank you so much, thank you, whoever you are, that's brilliant," and it's just so I know that they're helping me when I see the results either on the canvas or the music that I play back. So it's and I don't actually hear music. I don't hear like some musical notes kind of coming through from the heavens or anything like that. It's literally channeled through me, and and it just comes out like that. So, But I know they're there. I call upon them when I need them. When things get tough in my life and I'm faced with issues or problems, even small things, I will just ask for their help, and I'm not afraid to do that. And I think we should all do that. I mean, I want to stress that I don't think that we've all got to have a dramatic accident and a near-death experience to be able to get in touch with our guides. That we've all got them. And I firmly believe that. I mean, I firmly believe that I had my guides around me throughout the whole of my life before, but I just didn't know it. I just didn't know how to access them. Yeah.
Everybody is born with one. That's exactly what I believe. And sometimes people are born with more than one, depending on, I guess, whatever situation they may be in. I don't know how that works. I just know that everyone is born with one, and like you said, everybody has that ability. I believe every single person has the ability to either channel, be clairvoyant. It's a matter of allowing yourself to be in tune with those energies. It's having to let yourself vibrate at a frequency that resonates with that same energy. And I think there's so much animosity and hate and honestly, a lot of fear about things like that stop everybody from being able to tap into those abilities that they have. I believe everybody has them. It's just whether or not you're willing to accept it or acknowledge it.
So do you think, this can be for both of you, when somebody has a near-death experience, it's no longer tapping into it, but it's just kind of open. It's part of you now, because, like you said, you believe the veil. You're either, go into the veil or you're touched by the veil. So do you think it's just once you have a near-death experience, you're just more open? Even if it's not on purpose, like just because you went through this, like, do you think you would ever be doing this? Would spirit ever work for you if the accident didn't happen?
I think I'm creepy enough that yes, I would have kept pursuing it, because like I said, I had the ability beforehand. It was worse afterwards. And I say worse because when you're a kid and have this, you have no idea what to do. It's like, it's scary when you can't talk about it. You have no one to talk about it with. But I believe that it heightens it because, like I said, that energy is just stuck with you. It is imbued into who you are, and so you resonate a little higher than other people do. And whether it's you, as it were, like you said, clairvoyancy, whether the art, your different parts of your brain being opened up or flowing more freely through that experience, I think it has everything to do with that energy that we encounter in that situation, whether it be in the midst of it, afterwards. That energy that we encounter with near-death experiences makes us stronger, kind of. It's just like a piece of you, always. I feel like an alien, kind of. That's the best way to describe it. Like, oh, not human.
How about you, David? Do you have an opinion on yours?
Well, I mean, I feel for me that it's. I suppose the best way to put it for me, it was like, I mean, like I said to you earlier, it was like the dark night of the soul for me. It was a period of rebirth. So it's like my life needed a damn good shake up, really.
And you got one.
Exactly. And I got one, and I was like literally living my life on the surface before, and I was just, anything that was going wrong, I was just looking for a quick fix. I was drinking heavily at the time, so there you go. That's a quick fix. I think, it's a tough day. I need to go to the local bar and get a drink. And whereas now, that's not the way I deal with things. And my life is a lot more three-dimensional. And I accept that life is three-dimensional. It's not just surface level, And I think it's something that we could all try, especially at the moment with everything that's going on, with the world has been shaked off its accent. So it's given us all the time to stop and reevaluate all that side of things and stuff. And I hopefully, I mean, I think to a certain extent that's one of the positives that's come out of the COVID thing, and that is seeing some people are actually stopping and having to sort of educate their kids at home, baking bread and baking cakes for the first time, and that's lovely because that's like
and spending
it
time
really
with your
is going
family,
back
because we got lost in society.
Yeah.
We got lost in the go,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
family was always supposed to be number one always, but our jobs ended up becoming first and foremost, and then our jobs became second and third because they wear us down so much. Like, I had to go back to work 2 weeks after I had the baby, and then this COVID thing hit like maybe 3 weeks after that, and I was so thankful because I was missing that precious sweet time with him. When the only time he was little, shake and vouch for this, my baby is a ginormous humanoid of gigantor proportions, and the only time I think he was tiny was when he was born. He's like 30 pounds now, and he's 6 months. So yeah, he's a chonker. But
yeah, there you go. So
that
so yeah,
slows you
so
down.
it is.
And
So that's
been
go on.
beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds lovely.
Now, I have one
But-
last question, because you just brought this up, the state of the world. Now, I know how I feel and how a lot of the other people who are quote-unquote mediums, I hate that word. I never use that word. I don't like mediums. I don't like psychics. I really don't like clairvoyant. I don't like any of them. I just call it voodoo, juju, or whatever you want to call it. Or magic. I don't like those words. But how would you describe it? The way that you feel with the spirits, how they kind of channel you, how you feel their energy. With the state of the world the way it is, we feel like the collective weight. Like, I can't go out to public without breaking down crying, because I feel everybody's energy, I feel everybody's emotions. Has the energy that you've been channeling lately shifted at all? Has it been more somber, morose, or has it been just your art, has it been shifted in a different direction since all of this has happened? Have your spirits been affected at all by it?
I would say that I felt that I was very open to the energies that were going on and still going on. You know, I felt that, you know, I turn around to my friends and family and say, oh, well, the energies at the moment are really quite powerful. And they were going, what do you mean? What energies? What are you talking about? You know, and these are friends who are spiritual as well. But to me, I was very, it felt like I was in a spaceship that was you know, like in Star Trek or whatever, you know, where the asteroids are coming at me. So, but it didn't affect me in terms of my energies. No, creatively, that remained very sort of grounded, and has done throughout, because to me it felt like I wasn't frightened. I didn't feel fear. I was shocked at first about how much fear there was in the world. You know, I was looking around me, all the societies and everyone, you know, people raiding, you know, toilet rolls from the shelves of the supermarkets and just things like that. I was, you know, building barricades, and I'm just thinking, no, just slow down, please. It's, you know, why are you getting so scared? You know, this, you know, it's not like an ice age. It's not like a massive landslide. You know, the world, yeah, it was all pretty bizarre, you know, but I was never scared. I always kind of felt, but I felt the vibration of it also, yes, I felt that, but
you felt the
but
shift.
It never
then.
affected me. Felt
But
the shift.
it's literally like
But
it's like global shift in energy. It sounds crazy, but I swear it's real, people. Because I know you even probably feel it too, Shay. You're sensitive enough that I'm sure that you feel that draining energy when you interact.
I'm not as sensitive in any way. I have some intuition, and I feel a lot of people's energy and stuff, but not in that way. But I wasn't around people, so I can't judge it off of that. We stayed home. We just stayed home and stayed in, so I didn't. But no, on that level, I don't feel anything. Didn't feel anything.
Lucky.
Yeah.
I can't even drive without breaking down crying. My fiance drives everywhere now because I pick up on too many people's energies. Usually I'm able to kind of control it, but from what I've been told by the lady who's kind of like my mentor and all of this, this is my higher self opening up, so it just gets worse. You can't filter out anything anymore. It's humans and spirits. Humans used to be way quieter, and now they're like super loud. So So going out in places it makes me so anxious. It makes me so anxious.
Oh, you need to protect yourself, don't you?
Oh yes, I have to ground myself every time before I go out. I do the white light. Everything, and I bring gummy bears because that grounds you.
Well, it's interesting you see, because I was very much like this straight after the NDE, and I came across a spiritualist church, and I went into their door, and they welcomed me with open arms, and they told me that they were doing spiritual healing when I first walked in. And I said, great. So I started having healing off them, and I still go now once a week. And I love spiritual healing. And when I first started going there, the healers, they're quite clairvoyant, and they would turn around to me and say, "Oh, you're very, you need to protect yourself. You need to ground yourself more. You're far too open and stuff." And I was going, right. So they taught me to ground myself. So yeah, I find that. So maybe if you, I suppose it's very hard for you to get any spiritual healing at the moment, because I can't, because it's hands on. So yeah.
Well, how do you ground yourself, if I can ask? Is there one way, or?
I just try and I don't know. I guess I just have to try and get in touch with my guides. I just have to just keep myself grounded and try not to. There's so much going on for me at the moment because I've got this book coming out. There's been a lot of energy going into that, and it's all creative as well, because it's been talking to people like yourself, which it's really enjoyable, because it's like talking about the energy and talking about spirituality. So that I find that very grounding just for myself, because it's just like I'm connecting with spirit, and so I'm connecting with my story. So that kind of grounds me in an odd way, because rather than thinking, oh right, this is stressful because I've got to keep doing these interviews, it's not at all. So that's been very great, because this is throughout this whole COVID period, there's just been a lot of this work going on for me. So it's kind of productive, if you like, but not just for me getting my book out there, but for me grounding myself at the same time, if that makes sense.
It does, actually. It does. I just realized we went over. It's already. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was so into listening that I didn't realize that I kept you longer than I said.
Don't worry about me. I don't want to outstay my welcome.
Do you want to again give out your social media where people can find you?
Yeah, sure. So it's shineonthestory.com. So if you go there, that's my website, and you'll find everything there, all the links. And there's a Facebook page as well, which is David Ditchfield NDE. That's Facebook. If people want to follow me on there, you'll see all the different news items that are happening, and especially at the moment this week, it's going to be busy. So yeah, please come along.
I'll make sure I share that too.
And the book's available as well. If people want to pre-order the book, they can do it, so you can get it through Amazon. So it's Shine On. So just go there and find my name. You'll be able to. Well, actually, if you go on the website, you'll see a link on there. If you're interested in buying it or pre-ordering it, go onto the website and you'll see a link you can click on for Amazon. So there you go.
Yes, I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to get your book.
Thank you.
I am. I really am. I want to read more into this, and maybe down the line you can come back and we can pick up where we left off. But I was so into it that I didn't realize. So, thank you very much. Ashley, you want to give your social media out real quick?
You guys can follow me at Profoundly Paranormal. You can follow us on the American Ghost Hunter Show. My podcast is Storming the Unknown. It's on Paranormal Warehouse only. And you guys can also catch me in Broken Bow this summer, investigating at the RAC Asylum all summer on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm there for all your spooky summer needs, y'all.
Yes. All right. And everybody knows where to find me. I will be back right here next Friday with Paranormal Encounters. There we go. So, until then, guys, have a safe week. Stay healthy. Stay sane. Stay off Facebook. Stay off Facebook, guys. Jeez. All right, guys. Talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.